All right. Hello and welcome everyone to another live stream Monday. It is also NBA Finals Monday. It is the end of the school year Monday. A lot of schools, if they have not already had their last day of classes, this week might be the last one. Next week might be the last one. But for all intensive purposes, this is sort of our end of the school year live stream. So welcome, welcome. I'm very excited to be with you all on both Facebook and YouTube. So if you are joining us for the first time, let us know in the chat. If you have joined us before, also let us know in the chat, because I'm very excited when I see people who join us every week, and also when I see people join us for the first time. I already start to see in the Facebook chat that I have Laura monitoring from the Best College Aid account saying, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. So again, let me know in the chat if you are a parent or a student and what grade your student is in. If this is also your first time joining these live streams, let me give you a little bit of an overview as to how they work. We usually start with a few minutes of waiting for more people to join. Sometimes people log into these live streams and then they start to share them on their own Facebook page or through, personal messages. They take the YouTube link. So if you feel inclined to do so, I would greatly appreciate it. If not, that's perfectly fine. But I'm going to give it a few more time for people to join. And then I'm going to get started with a presentation that I have prepared for you all today. The topic of today's presentation is the following. We're going to be talking about how to find the right colleges. And as you're going to see throughout the presentation, that is a subject that is particularly fitting to the point in time in which we're at today, because if your student is going to be a senior and they have not already started thinking about what colleges they're going to be applying to, it's not too late yet. As a matter of fact, this is the perfect time to start, whether it's the YouTube algorithm or a friend that shared this live stream with you today. It was meant to be if your student has not already started their list of colleges, because this is the perfect time to do so, as you will have the entire summer to work on those college applications or even to finalize that college list before you get started on those applications. All right. So that's a topic that I'm going to be covering in more depth as we go along with the presentation. And then, as I do every week, I will finish the live stream with a Q&A session. So again, the same way that I just shared Laura's comment on Facebook, the same way that I'm now sharing the comment on YouTube saying, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As you join in, as you ask more questions, I encourage you to tell me a little bit more about your current situation, because you can think of these as office hours. If you have a specific, consultation, a specific question that you have that's pertinent to your particular situation, you can use the chat on either Facebook or YouTube to let me know in the comments. And then at the end of the presentation, if Laura hasn't already done so through the chat, I will be having a mini Q&A session where I'll be reading those questions out loud, sharing them the same way that I'm sharing it right now on the screen, and then I will be answering those questions. All right, so that's a brief overview as to what the presentation is going to look like. I am going to go over a couple of housekeeping announcements, and then we can get started with the slides. All right, so first thing, as I always do, if you do not already follow us on our social media channels, very easy. The handle is the same one across the board, Best College Aid USA. Basically, all the information that we share is similar to this live stream in terms of it being as topically relevant to whatever is going on in the world of college admissions. So, for example, in October, across our different social media channels, we'll be posting about the FAFSA, the CSS profile, all of those financial aid forms that are due in the month of October and that are relevant to that particular time. Right now, as I already mentioned, if you joined in late, I will be talking about how to find the right colleges, which is something that, as we'll learn throughout the presentation, is best done or is more timely when it's started right at the beginning of summer, because everything that can be done in regards to the college application process or in the process of selecting schools and strategically applying to different schools, different level of rigor, is best done so when it started over the summer, because time's on your side and you can start implementing a lot of other strategies. So the whole point of me sharing the social media channels is so that you know that whether it's through live streams, TikToks, carousels, images, Facebook statuses, we post content that's going to be helpful and of service to you, hopefully, throughout this college application journey. All right, so those are our social media channels. And then I'm going to get started with the slides in just a second, but just in case you have not already done so, similar to the next 45 minutes or 30 minutes or however long I take to share all this relevant information, there is, and I have pre-recorded a live training, or sorry, a pre-recorded training. It was obviously done live and then recorded and then edited, and we added B-roll to make it more effective and to make it more easy to follow. And that is a free presentation. It's 45 minutes long, and it's on the 6 strategies to help your children get accepted to college with scholarships. So let's say you're watching this live stream, you get a lot of value. Again, the topic of today's presentation is how to start your list of colleges or your student list of colleges. Let's say you watch that, you enjoy it. Well, you want more information or more of an overview as to how the whole process works. Because again, today we're going to be focusing on one specific aspect of the process, which is a very important one, how to make a list of colleges, but it's not the entire process. So in this presentation, we do go over the entire process as a whole and 6 of the biggest strategies that helped our students inside Best College Aid get accepted to college and navigate the financing aspect of it. So again, watch this live stream, ask your questions, and then if afterwards you have even more questions or you like my teaching style or you simply want to check out a free presentation, go ahead and register for that. I'm going to give you a brief overview as to how you do that first. If you're watching us on YouTube, this is kind of what you're looking at. This is me. It's a little bit meta because I'm sharing a video of myself sharing a video. But if you go down to the description and you click on show more, you're going to see the links to the special sale that we're having right now, so you can learn more about Best College Aid. All right. So that is that for that announcement. And at the end, I have a little bit more announcements, but what I want to get started with right now is the presentation, because I want to make sure that I cover everything and that if you have questions, I get to address them in the Q&A portion of the presentation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, how to find the right colleges. This presentation is particularly relevant for students who are finishing up their junior year right now and are about to go into the summer prior to their senior year of high school. All right, so basically where I want to get started is the timeline. When should you start the process, and what does a healthy timeline look like in regards to going through the process of making a list and then following it up with applying to colleges. All right. So ideally, you would start either on the spring of your junior year of high school or the summer before senior year. And that is why right now, being June 12th of 2023, I'm doing this live stream because, as I mentioned at the beginning, if your student does not yet have a list of colleges, that's perfectly fine. They can still use the following months to finalize that. But we want to start the process today so that, as I will go throughout the presentation, sharing strategies and best practices, they have enough wiggle room and time so that when August rolls around and a lot of the common application essay prompts begin to be released and colleges start accepting applications and they can get a head start on the process, they do so with a strategy, right? So if they don't yet have a list of colleges, that's fine. They can start it as soon as we finish this live stream or throughout this live stream. I'm going to go through some common practices. And again, all of this comes directly from the methodology we use inside Best College Aid, which is our full paid program. But again, that's a whole different separate conversation that we can have at the end of this live stream. For the sake of this presentation, I just wanted to let you know that time is on your side, but you got to be proactive. All right. So even though the whole process of making a list of colleges, you start during junior or the summer before senior year, if you are the parent right now of a middle school student or your student is in 9th, 10th, 11th grade, which is why I asked you to let me know in the comments what grade your student is in, or if you're a student yourself, what grade you're in, you should still watch this presentation. Why? Because there are a lot of things that you can do starting in middle school so that the level of competitiveness or the ceiling, the most rigorous and competitive university that you could become a competitive applicant for is higher, right? So you can heighten or elevate your ceiling if you start early, because you cannot retroactively join more clubs or get better grades if you're already a junior or a senior. But if you're watching this as a middle school student, then you know what you should strive for in regards to a GPA or beginning to prepare for standardized tests or joining different clubs so that you can display the concepts that we preach inside Best College Aid of leadership and duration when it comes to extracurriculars. So again, no matter what grade you're in, this presentation should be relevant for you, with the little caveat that if you are going to start your senior year in the fall, then you need to pay extra close attention to the next few slides. All right. Moving on to the first item of or the first tip that I want to share with you all is to have a self-evaluation. So again, as I mentioned earlier, if you're in middle school, you don't need to have a self-evaluation because everything that you would be evaluated on is still yet to come in the future. But if you're already a junior or you're going to go into your senior year, you need to sit down and look at a couple of things. All right. So first, what has been your academic performance as a student? If you are going to go for a particular major related to a field of study that you have entered in or that you have had a job doing, whether it's, at an animal shelter because you want to be a vet, or if it's, working front desk at a hotel because you want to go into the servicing and hotel industry. Whatever the case might be, you need to do an evaluation of who you were, who you have been as both a student and a professional, and how those kind of educate what you want to do for the following years and what you want to study, what you want to pursue as a major throughout college. And also, obviously, it goes without saying that you should kind of keep in mind what your academic performance has been throughout your high school career. Why? Because that will indicate what type of placement or where you should place each of the different universities that we're going to talk about later on in your list, whether they're going to be a reach school, a target school, or a safety school, depending on how your own statistics, SAT, ACT, GPA, extracurriculars, how those stack up against that of the average student in that university. All right. And then equally as important is addressing your strengths and weaknesses. So what I mean by strengths and weaknesses is whenever a student is applying to college, there are a lot of different components that an admissions officer is going to evaluate or that a college could potentially look at. Again, as I mentioned, the most common ones will be your GPA, grade point average, whether it's weighted or unweighted, or whether the college recalculates, because FYI, a lot of colleges ask for your transcripts so that they can take all of those grades, the level of rigor of the classes, and depending on the university, they might have their own methodology or their own grading system for which they calculate the GPA or the average of the student in the classroom. All right. So whether it's weighted or unweighted GPA, whether it's standardized test scores, whether it is extracurriculars, whether it is leadership positions, volunteer hours, athletics, all those things are separate components that an admission officer can look at and then make a decision of a student and how qualified of an applicant they are. Now, the reason why I was talking about acknowledging or recognizing your particular strengths and weaknesses is that, or the reason why is because different colleges might have different levels of priority or degrees of which they take or to which they take seriously each of those specific characteristics or components of an application. So what I mean by this is something that we teach inside Best College Aid is that University A and University B might look at very comparable students, similar GPAs, similar SATs, similar ACTs, but one student might perform better on standardized tests marginally, and the other one might be significantly more involved in the community or more volunteer hours or more extracurriculars, right? Everything else, let's assume that they're comparable. Well, University A, based on its common data set, you might find out, and something that we teach inside Best College Ed is how to find out if that university cares equally about extracurricular activities or volunteer hours as University B. And recognizing or identifying within a list of colleges or potential colleges that you'll apply to, what schools care about your particular strengths or what schools don't necessarily evaluate to a degree of seriousness as they do every other component, your particular weaknesses is very helpful, because if you're choosing when you're finalizing your list of colleges and you don't know which school you're going to kind of eliminate from your preliminary list and to make it all the way to your final list, and you're choosing between a few options, knowing which schools are going to see your strengths as something more valuable than another school that might not necessarily consider those strengths as much, will be very beneficial to making a decision that will make you put your best foot forward, and so that when you are being evaluated, they will appreciate you more and your statistics more. All right. So that is something very important that I wanted to share with you all in regards to why it matters to recognize your particular strengths and weaknesses as a student. All right. Now, I want to move on to probably the meat and potatoes, or the more important aspect or component of this live stream that I'm going to share with you all today, and that is defining your search criteria. All right. So again, we very much elaborate this in way more depth with our students inside Best College Aid. And again, if you're more interested in learning about our program and our whole methodology, you can click on the link below this video. But for the most part, basically, I want to do an exercise with you all, or if you're a parent, I want you to remember this so that you can do this with your students. Basically, what we ask our students to do is to envision what their utopian, what their perfect college experience is going to look like. And throughout this process, you are going to find out that most students say something along the lines of, I want to go to a big state school for which I get to spend my Saturday afternoons or Saturdays nights tailgating or preparing for college game day, or that they have a big study abroad culture and opportunities, or a big or maybe your student is not interested in Greek life, but they're more interested in having a smaller student to faculty ratio, or they want to be somewhere close to home or away from home. So there are a lot of different criteria, a lot of different characteristics, a lot of different components of what a student would consider or require from their university in order to feel like they're being satisfied in terms of their college experience expectations. And again, every student is completely different. Now, the example that I just gave, and again, you should be thinking about your own particular situation if you're a student, or when you ask your student if you're a parent, you should ask them to consider all those elements, and they're important and they're going to help them streamline their lists. However, the two most important components that we teach our students inside Best College Aid to consider is, number one, what they want to study, and number two, how generous a school is, right? So at the end of the day, or even before they start thinking about, what they're going to be doing on the weekends, or what the student to faculty ratio is going to be, or whether it's going to be a big state school or a small private school or somewhere halfway across the country, it's important for a student to know, or to at least have an idea or a range of options of what they would like to study. Because if a student is just guiding their decision based on what their friends are going to apply, or where their significant other is going to be attending, then they might apply to an institution that doesn't even offer their course of study or what they are interested in studying. So that lends itself to a ticking time bomb of taking out loans for a school that doesn't even satisfy your academic needs, or even considering a school that doesn't have a history of satisfying your specific family's a history of satisfying the financial demonstrated need of families with similar financial makeup as yours. So those are the two most important components of this college list or this search process. All right, that the school offers what you want to study, and that they are generous at the institutional level with families that have a similar financial makeup as yours. Then everything else becomes secondary criteria that we can still consider. All right. So I do want to start off with that exercise because, again, that gives you a clear vision as to what the important parameters or the important non-negotiables and sort of negotiable elements of your search process are going to be. And once you have those parameters, again, I really care about it being a big state school, or I really care about it being close to home in the same state. Again, narrow those parameters down to your specific non-negotiables and your negotiables. All right. And then you're going to use those parameters as search criteria in a search engine tool inside Best College Aid. And actually, as a matter of fact, by next week, we should have released a mini course, a 3-day course on how to create your perfect list of colleges using the College Board search engine tool that will guide you exactly to how to use the tool. But basically, you want to use all these different criteria and start with 3,600 universities, a little bit over that. That's how many universities, colleges and universities there are in the United States. And you should treat this whole process like a funnel. You have 3,600. You filter out the ones that don't offer the specific course of study you want to pursue. Boom, all of a sudden you might just have 1,500. Then you filter out all of the schools that don't satisfy the percentage of demonstrated financial need that your family has. Boom, all of a sudden you have 120. Big jump. Then you can start filtering out by which ones have the culture, the school culture that you want. Again, the study abroad opportunities, whether they're close to home or a specific state that you want to study at. And then you're going to end up with a smaller list, which lends itself, or that takes me to the third step of this whole process is once you have established your parameters and once you start weeding out schools, you first create a preliminary list of schools. You want to narrow it down to around 45, 50. You want to keep it at less than 50. And then that is when you start using the more advanced criteria, which is what I was alluding to at the beginning of the presentation and something that we go in a lot of depth inside the best college aid methodology. But basically, if you have 50 schools that all satisfy your non-negotiables, so what you want to study, financial aid, whether it's close to home, away from home, whatever the case might be, you're going to have 50 schools, but in reality, you're not going to be applying to like 50 schools. You are going to be applying, if you're responsible, to 8 to 12 schools divided between reach, target, and safety schools. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and check our YouTube channel. We have a video on reach, target, and safety schools that will help clear things up. But for the sake of this presentation, once you have those 50 schools, there are advanced techniques or advanced considerations that you should have, such as, does the particular school that I will end up applying to value my particular strengths? Maybe you're a great SAT or ACT student, test taker, or maybe you are a better student, so you have a higher GPA compared to your SAT or ACT. So basically, what we teach inside Best College Aid is that you should find out these pieces of information and eliminate from your preliminary list those schools that will not necessarily cater to considering or taking into account as heavily the particular strengths that you have. And that is why part of step number one was to recognize your own particular strengths and weaknesses, because once you get to the nitty gritty, you will make more responsible decisions as to which schools make it to your final list of colleges based on whether or not they place as much value on your particular strengths, if you understand what I am saying. All right, so before we get to the Q&A portion of the presentation, so if you have not already done so, this is your opportunity, your invitation to go on the Facebook chat or go on the YouTube chat option below this video or the comment section and let me know if you have any particular questions specific to your situation, because once I am done with the following slide, I'm going to do some brief announcements to give you more time to ask your questions, and then I'm going to go into the Q&A portion. So office hours, any question you might have about the college application process, it could be related to this presentation. It could not be related to this presentation. Anything that you think I might provide you with value or help or advice with, go ahead and use the comment section to let me know. But the last thing I want to share with regards to this presentation, number one with this slide, is that once you have that list of 8 to 12 colleges, the reason why we're starting so early right now in June is so that starting August, when you have that list of that final list of schools, you can meet those admission deadlines, whether it's early action, early decision, or regular decision. You can plan ahead and make sure you submit those applications whenever they're due. Again, the earliest one, I think October 15th is the earliest admissions deadline, and it is UNC Chapel Hill actually, and like 14 other schools. I could be wrong about that, but October 15th, I believe, is the first or one of the first application deadlines. So if you start in June, you have plenty of time, but you got to implement everything that we've been talking about throughout this live stream. All right. Now, last thing I want to end up with before I get to the Q&A portion of the presentation is some important announcements. As I mentioned, this whole presentation has been my summarized version of this new course that we're launching. Is a 3-day course on how to find or how to make the perfect list of colleges. And again, we finished the curriculum, we filmed everything, and everything that I talk about in that course that comes out next week, it's derived, or it's a more in-depth version, step-by-step, sort of everything that I talked about today. I've gone over it in 30 minutes, and I try to keep it at a surface level, but with enough depth for you to get value. But because there's some of the concepts that I talk about, such as using the search engine tool to make your specific list of colleges, or if you want to look at what a particular college cares about, well, you could find the common data set. All those things I wouldn't be able to cover in depth unless I made like a 6 or 7 hour live stream that I don't have the time to do so right now. So that's what I put it into the 3 day curriculum, the 3 day course. So that will be coming out next week. And we haven't figured out the final official price next week, but I mean, after next week, but once we launch, for those of you who are watching right now, we're going to have a special promotion. It should be $27. It's going to be discounted price. So do keep an eye out for that if you're interested. Again, that's going to be a fraction of the price than what it's actually going to be, but just because you're here watching this live stream and because we're excited, that's just something you should keep an eye out for. But again, more announcements will come on that later. I just wanted to let you know that that's what this presentation was based off of. And then the second thing is, so I talked about the mini course that comes out next week, but right now, let's say you watch this presentation, you enjoy this teaching style, you got a lot of value out of it, and you want more of a hand-holding experience, not necessarily on just making the list of colleges. Yes, that is a part of it, but that is not the entire process. The entire college application process can start as early as middle school if you have students in middle school and you don't know what classes they should be taking, or you would want them to start taking advanced level classes that could eventually translate into high school classes that could eventually enable them to take AP classes, and then those AP classes could be transferred into for college credits so they can start saving money. And if they start participating in a particular extracurricular activity starting in middle school and they display the concepts of leadership and duration throughout high school, those could translate to merit-based scholarships. So again, the process can start as early as middle school. The best college aid methodology, we worked it out so that it doesn't matter what grade their student is in. They can join Best College Aid and go through the whole process successfully. But I do want to say that the earlier student starts, the better. And if you're interested in being guided through this entire process, again, from as early as middle school all the way through life in college, because again, part of our curriculum covers, once you're in college, what are the best ways to start building your credit, how to start looking for jobs when you're going to be leaving college, or if you're looking for internships, how to find discounted books, how to waive insurance costs if your university requires you to be insured through the college insurance, but you have your family's insurance. So again, all those concepts, which of course are following or are outside of the main premise, which is applying to college, applying for scholarships, applying for federal aid institutional scholarships, applying for or negotiating financial aid award packages. Again, all of that experience is covered inside the Best College Aid methodology. And before I get to answering questions, I do want to share with you all that we are having a special sale because of the end of the school year, and that is 60% off. If you have already watched our free presentation, the 6 steps to go to college with scholarships, we talk about everything that the Best College Aid membership includes, which again, as I mentioned, is as early as middle school all the way through college. It's a family lifetime membership. It's just one-time payment of $397. Or if you cannot make that payment, we do have a payment plan of 3 payments of $177. And again, that's a lifetime membership that includes everything from middle school all the way to college. And if you are not satisfied with the purchase, everything is protected by a 14-day money-back guarantee. So again, that is on top of this live stream, the free presentation that we have on our website, all of the recordings that we do, that we share on YouTube. We wanted to provide something that was more personalized and something that was more easy to follow and streamlined, and we had the best resources because we do our hosting on a platform that allows us to share resources, to screen share, to have a more direct communication with our students. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that we're having this sale that ends tomorrow. So if you're interested in Best College Aid, go ahead and click the link below this video. As a matter of fact, if you're watching us on YouTube, let me show you. This is what you're looking at. This is the live stream. That's me sharing the 60% off. And if you go below the video, and you want to sign up for our product with a 60% discount, you click on it, and as you can see, this sale is available until tomorrow at midnight. Here's a video of me and Laura explaining more about the curriculum, and as you'll see, the 60% off is already applied. What it includes: all of our courses from as early as middle school throughout high school, financial aid and scholarships, how to avoid loans. If you want to be a student athlete, that's also covered. Life in college, which is what I was talking to you about earlier, about how to save money throughout college. If you're an international student, we also have content that might be pertinent or helpful to you. And then that's what our outline or our skeleton is throughout guiding you for guiding you throughout the process. But on top of that, we also have benefits, which is all of our unlimited college advising via our monthly Zoom sessions with our members, our Facebook group for members, our personal emails, our chat features inside the course, our platform. So that's included. We have study materials for the SAT and the ACT. We have, as I mentioned already, over 1,000 members in our private Facebook group, and those members are students, parents who already navigated through the process, all of our counselors. And again, this network of students are students who have gone to UPenn, to Yale, to Harvard, have gone accepted to Stanford, to UNC Chapel Hill, to University of Miami. So it is a quite extensive network that you can connect with, and that's included with the membership. 30% off the entire RIA.com store, which is the Research and Education Association, the publishing house for Crash Course books. If you're interested in getting discounted AP exam books, that's included with your membership. An exclusive Dell Technologies shop for whether you want to revamp your workstation, your setup, you need to get equipment for your new college dorm, whatever the case might be, you have access to that. And again, here's the discount that ends up being $397 with the 60%. All right, so that will be live until tomorrow at midnight, and I just wanted to share that before going into the Q&A session. So again, if you're interested, link in my bio. I mean, not in my bio, below this video. All right, let's see. Let's see if I have any questions. So Jenna Dean is asking, when is the best time to look for scholarships? All right, great question. So when it comes to scholarships or funding for a student's higher education, there are 4 potential sources of money. There is federal aid, state aid, institutional aid, and private scholarships, right? So as you could probably imagine, each of these 4 types of scholarships come from different entities that fund them. So federal scholarships come from the federal government, and they're closely related to filling out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid that opens up on October 1st. So if you're talking specifically about scholarships or money from the federal government, October 1st of your senior year of high school, and every year after that, you have to be renewing the FAFSA. Next, if we're talking about state scholarships, every state might have different policies. Some in Florida, we have Bright Futures. In Texas, there's I know in New York is the tuition assistance programs. In California, there's the Cal Grant. In Texas, I'm forgetting right now. It's eluding me right now which one's in Texas. But again, the whole point is every state has different policies. Some might require you to fill out the FAFSA, and that's it. Others might require you to fill out an additional state-sponsored form. So those usually also come along during senior year of high school. When you get to institutional scholarships, every school might require different things. Some are good with just the FAFSA. Some might require the CSS profile. But again, with those, most of the time you can, or you're supposed to act on them during your senior year of high school. However, when it comes to private scholarships, there's a big misconception that you're only allowed, or that you can only access money, or that you can only access scholarships or apply for scholarships when you're a senior in high school. And most of the time, it's seniors in high school who apply for a bunch of scholarships, and then once they receive that money, whether it's a renewable scholarship that applies for all 4 years, or a one-time scholarship that's only applicable for freshman year of college, then they stop applying. When in reality, there are scholarships that a student could be applying to all throughout high school, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, as well as scholarships that are available in college. So do not fall into the misconception or the trap or the wrong idea that you can only apply for private scholarships during your senior year of high school. know that you can apply as early as ninth grade and all the way throughout college, and continue to do so. Again, there's a lot of resources out there, search engine tools for scholarships. There's FastWeb, there's Scholarly. The College Board search engine tool has a scholarship filter, if I'm not mistaken, scholarships.com. Your specific high school college counselor might have a list of unpublished scholarships that maybe a student from your high school had received in previous years, or that are available at the county level, at the regional level, at the state level, that again might not be published in those search engine tools. And usually, if it's your counselor who's giving you a list of these scholarships, they will have pre-vetted those to know that they're legit and that they're worth your while. So those are all of the potential search engines or ways or places where I would look for private scholarships. But again, that was a long, convoluted answer that covered federal, institutional, state, and private scholarships. Jenna, hope that was helpful. All right. So I'm going to give you one more second to see if any more questions pop off. Again, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, let me know in the chat if you have, or in the comment section if you have any questions. And in the meantime, I do want to remind you all one last time, as I wait for more questions to come, that we are having a 60% off end of school year sale. It ends tomorrow night. So if you're interested in joining Best College Aid and interested in everything that I just shared about scholarships and about how to make a list of colleges and strategically looking at colleges that satisfy over 90% of demonstrated financial need, or making sure that you're eligible for federal aid or state aid or whatever the case might be, all of that is covered inside the Best College Aid membership. Every year we have students get accepted to top universities. It's not uncommon for students to send their college admissions or their financial aid award packages. And obviously it depends on whether they go in-state or out of state. If it's in-state, it's usually a little bit cheaper to go, but those financial aid award packages, they still cover 80, 85, 90, 100% of the cost of tuition, which again, depending on the state, it might be $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. But then we also have students who go out of state or who apply for private scholarships. And again, those percentage of need covered stays at 80, 90, 95, 100%. But because those are private universities, their financial aid award packages end up being, $70,000 per year, $65,000 per year. All right. So that's not uncommon to see. If you want, we actually shot a video like a month ago with one of our latest success stories. Her name is Emma Relier. And basically what you'll see in the video is between all the different schools that she applied to, she was incredible. She got it into Georgetown, into UNC Chapel Hill, into Duke, into UF. And basically throughout all of the different places that she got accepted to, her financial aid award packages offered through all these different universities, I think it was over 10 schools that accepted her, was like $1.25 million. So remarkable what she did. And she's just the latest success story coming out of Best College Aid. Every year we have hundreds and hundreds of those. So that's, for a $397 investment that they made to join the program, seems like a no-brainer. So, and again, all of our products are covered by a 14-day money-back guarantee. Our family membership is covered by that. So do check it out. Less than 2% of people exercise that money back guarantee, and we happily return the money. But the other 98% are satisfied with the course, with our support, with our advising, our benefits. So if you want that to be you, go ahead and click on the link below this video, and you're going to get access to that 60% off sale that, once again, I'll remind you, ends tomorrow. As you can see from once you click the video below the once you click the link below the video, you're going to be taken to this page that says that here's the 60% off sale, ends tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. All right. So go ahead and take advantage of that. I do have one comment from Dan Schrader saying thanks for the helpful information. No, thank you, Dan, for being engaged, being here, and for your comment. So let's see. I also have another question from Ame. Ame is saying, I want to study computer science and artificial intelligence in Stanford University, but I'm not sure if I really want to go to college to study these courses or just take online courses. Any advice? Yeah, That's a very, very good topic that you're bringing up, and I know that with the rise of artificial intelligence, which yeah, no, we live in a very fortunate time that there's so much information coming out of it, and I've been fortunate enough to really been getting my hands on a lot of these new technology and playing around with a lot of these tools and trying out all these different software. So my personal piece of advice when it comes to I'm going to separate computer science and artificial intelligence. Number one, with computer science, a lot of the jobs that you are going to be, applying to after you get a job from computer science might be based on referrals, might be based on networking, might be based on, the prestige. If you want to apply to this big corporate job, they might recognize a prestigious university and consider you a little bit more heavily or seriously. Now, that's not to say that artificial intelligence will not be a supplement. As a matter of fact, I think it will definitely be a tool that will help you out there. One of the biggest things that I've been coming back to when it comes to artificial intelligence is that everyone talks about, oh, artificial intelligence is going to make learning these new skills or going to college obsolete because you won't need computer scientists or you won't need accountants or you won't need doctors, when in reality, or what I like to think of is, okay, think about photographers. Everyone has on their cell phones a camera with high resolution and with incredible properties that didn't exist decades ago. But that doesn't make everybody a photographer. But it does make it so that people who understand the basic concepts, who studied them at their core level, are leveraging these tools and could make a living out of this and could be very successful in this particular field. So I will always recommend, and actually we have a blog in our Best College Aid page that came out 2 weeks ago about artificial intelligence and the role that a lot of colleges have adopted. A lot of colleges have taken the fact that they have experts on the field and made courses on them and adjusted their curriculum, and they have tried to become the learning hubs of these new skills and fields and technologies. So at the very least, what I would recommend, Ame, is for you to set the pieces in place so that you can become an eligible candidate. So if you're in middle school, if you're in high school, go ahead and study for the SAT, go ahead and study for the ACT, go ahead and follow everything that we've been talking about in this presentation, so that when the time comes, you can be a competitive candidate and you can make an assessment as to what you're being offered. Because again, if you follow the best college aid methodology, best case scenario, the investment of going to college is not going to imply the opportunity cost of having to sacrifice learning about computer science, but rather you're going to be getting enough financial aid and scholarships so that you can get your college education without going into debt because you did it applying a strategic, approach of comparing financial aid award packages and applying for private scholarships and qualifying for state sponsored scholarships and all that stuff, so that you can fulfill that dream of going to college, but you don't have to sacrifice a lifetime of debt in order to make it a reality. And then you can make that decision a little bit easier. So that's what I would recommend. All right. Great question. I love this field, and I had to stop myself and really back because I felt like I could have gone on a big monologue for hours about this particular topic. Let's see. Javier Santa Maria asked, "Hi, my son is going to be a senior. Should he take the SAT and the ACT if he's planning on going to a junior college?" So, great question. Whenever it comes to the SAT or the ACT or any standardized tests, here's my approach, especially now that it's junior of, you said he's going to be senior. All right, perfect. So, what I would recommend is if you did not get to watch this live stream, maybe you want to check out the recording. Is going to be posted on YouTube. But basically, what I talked about earlier was that you want to make a list of colleges, not necessarily based on whether they're a junior college, whether they're a private school, a public school, a four-year institution, in-state, out-of-state, but rather on the important core principles, right? So, Javier, is your son does he know what they want to study? Does he know if they want to be in-state, out-of-state, if they want to be close to home, if they want to go to a big state school, a small state school, if they want to go to a private institution with a high student to faculty ratio, sorry, a low student to faculty ratio. All those things are going to become important search criteria when they're making their list of colleges that they should be starting today. And then once they end up with a preliminary list of 50 schools, then they can say, okay, I have taken the SAT, or I'm going to take the SAT, which, by the way, spoiler to the answer, they should be taking them just to know where they're at, because who knows? What if they're great test takers and they do really, really well? But again, I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that later. But once they have that preliminary list of schools, what we talked about earlier in this presentation is that they can then evaluate which colleges that satisfy all of the criteria that we already established. Again, they offer a certain degree, they offer a certain amount of financial aid and scholarships, all that stuff. They can see which ones place a lot of value on a standardized test, on the SAT or ACT, if they did really well, or if they did not do well, then apply to schools that will not require it, or that will be test blind, or that will be test optional. So that will make the decision that much easier, and it will allow you the flexibility of applying to a school that will cater or that will heavily consider your students' particular strengths. But in order to even make that decision, you should have those test scores under your belt and know whether or not you're even a competitive, or that your son is a competitive SAT test taker, or ACT, or their ACT exam is competitive. All right. So that is my answer with that. Hopefully that helped. I think I reached the bottom of the questions. So unless there's anything else that comes up, I do want to remind you all one last time, if everything that I said to you, you enjoyed, but you want to learn a little bit more, you want to get more help, you want a bit of a more personalized assistance throughout this process, navigating it, not just getting to college, but getting to a top tier institution, and doing so while making sure that all of the potential different avenues for which you could get money for federal aid, state aid, institutional aid, private aid, you can make sure that you're doing everything that you can to qualify for those awards. We have a 60% off end of school year sale that we're running until tomorrow at midnight. So go ahead and click on the link below this video so that you can check it out, see what we offer, see everything that entails, and then you can make your decision. All right. So thank you so much for being with me throughout the last 45 minutes. And I will be back tomorrow on Instagram and TikTok. So go ahead and join me then, and you can ask more questions. And if not, I'll be back on YouTube and Facebook next week at 7:15 p.m. Eastern time. All right. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you so much. And go ahead and check out the link in my bio. I will see you all next week. Take care.